Okay, so we're back in Hilchos Yesodei Hatorah, Perek Hey, Halacha Zayin. We left off last with the ethical dilemma in Hey and Vav regarding what we call taking one for the team and saving the the masses for the sake of one person. We said that wasn't allowed. We can't play God. All right, that's kind of the bottom line over here. And then that was five, and in six we spoke about the same is true when it comes to healing yourself. We spoke about healing yourself with avodah zarah, or healing yourself by some other means. Um, right. So we spoke about that. That was number six. And number seven, we're going to get to the source in the Torah. So we're up to Zion. Uminayin shafilu bimkom sakanas nafashos ein over alachas mishalosh averis elu. What is the source? What is the pasuk from the Torah that says that you have to give up your life? Okay, even when someone's life is in danger, right? You cannot cure or help that person by committing one of the big three. Pasuk near and dear to us. We say every day, a couple of times. Okay, this pasuk says that you should love God no matter what. So, what is the no matter what? So the Rambam says, and of course he takes us from the famous Gemara in Brachos, Daf Samach Aleph, Afilu hu notel as nafshacha, right? Even if it means being a life being taken, God God trumps in some circumstances um, human life. And this, of course, was the source of this is what Rabbi Akiva said, right? When the story of Papas ben Yehuda asked him why he was teaching Torah. Now, keep in mind that's not a great example because that's not one of the things you have to give your life up. So we're not going to get into that now. But the Gemara sometimes gives extreme examples of people who are, right? We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. People who are the leaders of their generation would sometimes even extend the big three to maybe a couple of more. Okay. So that's the pasuk of V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha v'harigas nefesh mi Yisrael l'rapos nefesh acheres, right? Killing someone, okay, in order for someone else to live, o lahatzil adam miyad anos, or to save someone through someone else, davar shahadas notelo, okay, it's something that's understandable, who she'ein ma'abda nefesh bifnei nefesh. This is what the Gemara calls ein nefesh docha nefesh. We don't, like I said in the beginning, we don't play God. If someone is meant to die, we can't interject ourselves and say, no, take me instead, or take that person instead, or I'm going to save his life in order to do something else. Okay. So when it comes to the big three, okay, you have to lay down your life and that's it. It's called ein nefesh docha nefesh, right? If you remember the Gemara in Psachim and in Ksuva says the svara, if I have a gun to my head and said, if you don't kill Ruvain, then I'm going to kill you, right? So the Gemara says, "My chazet the high dam kosat," right? It says, how do you know that your blood is red or maybe the other person's blood is redder, right? That's kind of the logic. So that's what we call docha nefesh mipnei nefesh. The arayos hukshul nefashos. So we see by the avodah zara, right? You can't, right? You have to give up your life for avodah zara. When it comes to murder, you have to give up your life also because of that svara. And the last source that the Gemara in Psachim says is Gilu Arayos. How do you know you have to give up your life? Because the Torah, when it talks about the Nar Marasa that's raped, here the Rambam quotes it, that Arayos has a hekesh to nefashos. When it comes to murder, because the end of the psukim that in Kitetz that talks about the rape, it says, Ki kasher yakum ish al re'ehu uretzacho nefesh ken hadavar hazeh. We compare the woman who was raped, in this case of Gilu Arayos, we compare it to a murder. It's just like when a person goes and tries to kill somebody else. So we're comparing some aspects of Gilu Arayos to some aspects of Ritzicha. And that's what the Gemara says we're comparing it to. The fact that just like Ritzicha, a nefesh docha nefesh, right? I can't play God, and I can't say kill this person instead. I have to, die and not kill someone else if that's what I'm instructed to do. So that's how it works by Gilu Arayos also. You have to lay down your life and not commit Gilu Arayos. Okay, so that's number 7. Number 8. So Rambam's jumping around a little. Over here, he says what we said above, right? Not in when we just did the one we did last week, number 6, I believe, halacha vav, when it came to right, healing yourself regarding right, the case with the shayra tree. There's some kind of ingredient in the shayra wood, right? So we said that you can't use it, right, because it's avodah zarah. You can't use it to cure yourself. So b'madvar mamorin she'ein nisrapin b'sha'ari surin el b'makom sakana, right? When we said the above law that you could that you can't heal yourself, okay, except if there's a sakana, then you could heal yourself if it's something lighter than avodah zarah, right? If it's not one of the 1% things that you're not allowed to do, right? Like if you have to eat something that's not kosher, then you could eat it if there's a makom sakana. That's only bisman shehen derech hana'asan. That's when what? When you actually get some kind of enjoyment out of it, right? It's nourishing. Let's say, for example, you're very sick, and the doctor says the only way for you to live is to eat seafood, right? Lobsters and prawn and sea urchins. Okay, usually those things are not kosher, but that's what we call derech hana'asan, conventional eating that gives you pleasure. Okay, ochametz bepesach, oshemachilon aso biyom hakipurim. Right? So in these cases, you're eating something that's forbidden, either because the item is forbidden or the day, like Yom Kippur, is forbidden. Aval shelo derech hanasan, what if the medication that you're given is not something that's conventionally eaten? Kagon she'osin lo retiya, o melugma mechametz o ma'orla. What if, for example, they have to give you a bandage, and the bandage is made out of chametz? All right, this is the chumrah of the month, right? Chametz bandages. So so you say, well, it's a kares, you can't eat chametz on Pesach, but you're not really eating it, but you're healing yourself. So if you're healing yourself, that's not a problem because it's something that's done in a weird way. That's called shelo derech hana'asan. What if you have to take something that's really, really rotten tasting, like cough medicine, for example? What if you take something that you have absolutely no enjoyment out of? So why are we mentioning this? Because if you have to take that, what if you're just a little sick and there's no sakana? You're not going to die. So you're allowed to heal yourself with something even that is right, even with something that is forbidden, but because it's not done in a conventional way, it's not a problem, right? And we're very lenient, even it's what we call shelo b'makom sakana. Okay, when there's no danger to your life. Now there's 2 exceptions. The Gemara in Psachim in the second parak talks about these 2 exceptions. Chutz mekilei hakerem ubasar b'chalav. The Torah goes out of its way. The Gemara in Pesachim learns from Gzeros HaKasuv that when it comes to Kilei HaKerem, which is kilayim, which is if you have a kerem that's planted near chita, near wheat, okay, the mixture of that is called kilayim, and the Gemara says that's a no-no, right? Even if you get enjoyment out of it, that's abnormal. Shelo kederach hana'asan. And the same thing is true with basar b'chalav. Okay? Basar b'chalav, the Rambam says, shehen asurin afilu shelo derech hana'asan. If you're nena, even through a regular activity, okay, through basar b'chalav, even if you don't enjoy it, then we say that it's asr. So kilei kerem and basar b'chalav are exceptions to that rule. So if the doctor says you need a cheeseburger in order to get better today, right? Even if you take that cheeseburger in an abnormal way, they stuff it up your nose, okay, and you ingest it that way, so that is usher if it's not a major sakana. If it's a minor sakana, you're not feeling well, you can't do it. But if it's a major sakana, then obviously you're allowed to do anything except for the big three. But that's where we draw the line. When it comes to kilei hakerem and basar b'chalav, it has to be a real sakana, because those are aser afilu shelo derech hana'asan. Okay. 9 is very tempting to do now. Okay, we'll do 9. Misha Nasan, and we mentioned this a few halachas ago, right? We quoted, this comes from the last blot, I believe, in Ben Sower Umor, I think Daf Ayin Dalet or Ayin Hey. The Gemara says about a story. We did a Tuesday night shir on this, if you remember, a whole hour we spent on these 4 lines. Misha Nasan enav be'isha v'chala v'nat halamus, right? So we gave an example of what if your life is in danger. So we said, example, you need the ingredients from an ashera tree. What if you have to be with a woman or else you're going to die? All right, you're literally dying to be with her. No pun intended. So, and the doctor said, yeah, Nebuch, there's a situation where if he's not with her, he's going to die. He's going to drop dead. So the Rambam says, Yamus va'al tiba'olo. So the Rambam says, what do you do? Well, you have to follow the rule. This is Gilo Arayo, so you have to give yourself up. You can't do it to save a life. And you can't even do it to save your own life. So the Rambam says, no, not allowed. And the Chiddush, and he gets this from the Gemara, is Afilu Haisa Penuya, even if it's, we'll call it debatable Gilo Arayos, right? If she's single, it's not so bad, relatively speaking. How about if he keeps his clothes on and he just wants to text her? Is that okay? So this is very, very difficult to explain, and 20 seconds is not going to do it justice. But the Gemara goes so far to say he cannot communicate with her. He should rather die, okay, than to communicate with her, even with clothing, even 10 feet away, because he's so infatuated with her, right? He has to just separate himself from her, right? This is what we call a safeguard, right? We want to safeguard that if you maybe if you give the mouse the cookie, right? Or give whatever that book is called, right? So if you let him be with her, right? So bad things could happen. So you want to set the rule straight, that if you say, yeah, you could do this and not that, people are going to take advantage. So this is to prevent pretus. So, all right. I will leave you at that. Have a good night.
Thank you.